Welcome to Animal Football Insider, your weekly look into the happenings of your Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Florida Gators, and all things related to football. And now, from West Des Moines, Iowa, here's your host, The Animal.
And it's a very good evening to you all. Welcome to this edition of the Animal Football Insider, coming at you from the very cold and frigid confines of West Des Moines, Iowa. Well, yes, it is a balmy 10 degrees right now at this moment. And I can tell you right now, it's not just cold. It's cold. That's what we say. It's just cold. But we're going to try and turn up the heat tonight and possibly have a little fun here tonight and just sit and chat and talk about what's going on in the world of sports, especially where it involves these guys here or whether it's these guys right here, also known as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are trying to get their house in order. We're going to talk all about that a little bit later on. And there was some news that has come out with the Buccaneers. As you all know by now, there's a major firing that took place last week. Offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich got a copy of the home game and several other people. Now the Buccaneers have started interviewing for new offensive coordinators. They've been interviewing people. We can tell you today that they interviewed Jim Bob Cooter, former offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions, among other places that he has been. And they also interviewed Keenan McCardle. Now, if Keenan McCardle rings a bell, it should, because as diehard Buck fans, you should know that he used to play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. But then I started to remember today. And do you know what today is? And I didn't think, and it bothered to hit me until I saw it on Twitter. How dare me, Just hit me on the forehead, Do you realize that it was 20 years ago today that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won their first Super Bowl back in 2002 under John Gruden out west in L.A. when they took on the L.A. Raiders? And, of course, they came up big and won that game. Keenan McCardle was a part of that. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, where has the time flown in 20 years? Think about that, I mean, it just mind boggles me to see now Keenan McCardle wanting to become an offensive coordinator for a football team. And McCardle was great as a wide receiver. I remember his days when he played with the Cleveland Browns. Outstanding player. Just totally outstanding. And to see him and see how far he has come, I think is great. I don't know if he's going to get the job. In fact, everybody wants Todd Monken, the current offensive coordinator with the Georgia Bulldogs. He used to be offensive coordinator under Raheem Morris back in 2011. We saw how that turned out. Obviously, things have changed for Monken. And we found out today that Monken has said that he loves Georgia, doesn't want to lead there. He wants to retire there. So we might cross him out. So we might be getting somebody else, obviously. And just who that is, we just don't know as of yet. Ron Meadows of Gator Bait Magazine, he's going to join us here in a little bit, and we'll talk about some things that's going on with the Florida Gators. They've begun their workouts, and there's been some new enlightenment in the Jacob Rashada saga. I know that we're getting sick and tired of hearing that, but there are some definitely new developments that now is starting to shed light on the story. Here's what we can tell you is that the bottom line with the whole Rashada scheme, this is not how it seems. And when Lauren Meadows comes on, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. How about the National Football League and the games that we had this weekend? 4 outstanding games. We had a game that Cincinnati against Buffalo in the snow on Sunday, which was, that was just that was just mind blowing to see. I was really let me go back on that. Let me go back on that because it wasn't. I'm sorry, it wasn't the Bengals. Um, let me go back on that because the Giants. They were playing. I think they were playing against the Eagles. Hang on. It's been kind of a crazy week for me. So yeah, Giants were. Let's see. So it was a Giant. Let's see. It was Bengals. Yeah, Bengals against the Bills. Okay, that was in Buffalo. It was snowy. It was just the weather was just pathetic, and you could tell as you were seeing the game how the New York Giants were not playing at their full best. They were afraid. They looked like that they were afraid they were going to slip and fall. They were not. You could tell they were not putting a lot of pressure on Cincinnati's front offensive line. They looked very weak. If you want to be known, and for Joe Burrow and company, I mean the guy he just came out there. He just played an outstanding game. 27-10 was the final score as the Bengals just destroyed them. Of course, you had the Saturday game against Cincinnati, Kansas City taking on Jacksonville. You know, that was a very interesting game. Trevor Lawrence went through for 217 yards and 1 touchdown, but the big story of the game was Patrick Mahomes and the way that he had played in that game. And I'm not a big Patrick Mahomes fan. I think a lot of people that know me know that I am not truly a Patrick Mahomes fan. Peter says, "Hey, Peter Collins, saying hello. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you'll make the chat more interesting. Go ahead and answer your questions, anything you want to ask regarding the Bucs or the games that happened this weekend." And what we saw, and what we saw with Mahomes, and credit Mahomes. I'm gonna give Mahomes credit where credit's due. That man came out and he played just as good of a game as he could, and he played it smart. He played it smart because what he did once he had that injury, if you notice, you rarely saw Patrick Mahomes run with the ball. All he would do is just sit in the pocket, hand it off to his running back, or make a few throws. And that offensive line did such a good job protecting him. Okay. And Mahomes knew that Jacksonville wouldn't be able to bring the pressure. You thought they would have, but they didn't. They just didn't. And it made for some bad. I was really disappointed. I thought that Jacksonville was going to come out and really give Kansas City everything that they had, but as we found out during the course of the game, Kansas City just wore them down, and in the end, Kansas City was able to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars and move into the semifinal round against the that other team, and I'll think of it here in just a minute. Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. Okay, that's going to be a 6:30. That's going to be a 6:30 contest. The other game, Philadelphia Eagles, and they are going to go against the San Francisco 49ers and Brock Purdy, former Iowa State. That has got to be the story of the year right now. That has got to be the story of the year, Brock Purdy. And it just brought so many memories. I mean, not memories, but just brought just how poised, how well he was playing. It's like nothing. It's like he was like Trevor Lawrence. He would not let anything affect him. And that 49er defense came after that. I mean, that Cowboy defense came after him. In the end, Purdy and the San Francisco Giant 49er defense was able to close it out and defeat Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. I kind of loved it after the game. Of course, arrogancy as he is, Jerry Jones, meeting with the media. Is Dak Prescott? Is Jerry Jones going to be? I mean, is Mike McCarthy going to be fired after the game, sir? Well, my best, Jerry Jones. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Mike McCarthy done a good job for us, and I don't anticipate him leaving this team. It's just amazing, that this team got as far as it did, and I just don't see any changes happening with Mike McCarthy right now. I think he's done an excellent job. I promise I won't do any more. It's just, and you can say what you will about Dak Prescott. I think that he played as good of a game as he possibly could play, but when it came down to the big plays, they couldn't hack it. And San Francisco was able to beat the 49ers. 49ers were able to beat the Cowboys, basically at their own game. If you really stop and think about it, 49ers probably were able to beat Dallas at their own game in the way they played. Okay. And for Kyle Shanahan and the job that he has done, it's just outstanding. And by the way, it should be noted that Kyle Shanahan, if I'm not mistaken, boom, one of them things that go into my head here. If I am not mistaken, and Peter, let's see, Peter says, Buck's going to get Tampa, have a big nasty day in appreciation for all he's done. Big Nasty, of course, one of the biggest Buck fans. They should do something for him, but they already did. I seriously doubt that they're doing anything else. I want to check something out here because I believe Shanahan, that he was on the Super Bowl championship team back in 2003. He was on the team. He was on the team with John Gruden. Excuse me. But I don't know if he was on the championship team or if he came later on. I'm going to find this out here in just a minute. I do believe he was. Let's see here. Okay, he came afterwards, back in 2004 and 2005. He was a quality control coach, and back in 2004 and 2005. So that was after the Super Bowl years. But for those that don't know, Kyle Shanahan got to start in the pros with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And his first job was back in 2003 with UCLA. He was a graduate assistant. Among the teams that he coached with, Houston Texans as a wide receivers and quarterback coach, and also offensive coordinator. Redskins offensive coordinator. You remember that? I remember that very well. Went for a year with the Cleveland Browns, then 2 years with the Atlanta Falcons as offensive coordinator before getting the head coaching job with the San Francisco 49ers. He's been there for 6 years. 6 years. He got the job in 2017. So 5 years, 6 years. It kind of depends. But basically, that's how long he's been there. But man, Brock Purdy in the way this kid has played, patient, sit in the pocket, throw the ball when need be, doesn't show signs of choking or breaking down. But now they have to go to the Lions Den, basically, one of the worst places in all Philadelphia, to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, the worst fan base one could ever imagine. And for me, as a diehard Buccaneer fan right here, okay, I'm gonna get shot down for this, but I kind of like what Philadelphia's doing. I like Nick Sirianni, the head coach. I mean, he's loose. He's playing it free. He's just doing. He's just just leading this Philadelphia team to winning football right now. Now, can Philadelphia beat the likes of the 49ers? Sure, they can. I doubt that they have the defense capable to beat San Fran. I think the offensive line is massive. And speaking of massive offensive line, we'll talk about something about that here in just a little bit. But I think it's gonna be a great game. That's gonna be the early game. Eagles at home against San Francisco. That's gonna be a 3:00 game. Great matchup, great storylines, of course. The Brock Purdy storyline, that's gonna be the one that's gonna take everything. That's gonna be the main story. You're truly the animal here with you on a beautiful Thursday night, brought to you by Carpet Direct. For all your carpeting needs in the West Des Moines or Des Moines, Iowa area, if you need carpeting, my good friend Benton Taylor will be able to handle your carpeting needs. Does a great job, and you need to give him a call. I'll have that phone number here. In fact, let me get it right now while I'm doing a promo for Carpet Direct. And we here in Animal Insider really appreciates them being our main sponsor for this season of the Animal Football Insider. Let's see if I can't get it here. Let's see here. No. Where'd my boy go? Did I lose him? Anyhow, give my boy Benton Taylor a call, and he'll be more than happy to get you hooked up. 712-260-2867. Carpet Direct USA for your final needs of carpeting in the West Des Moines and Des Moines, Iowa area. It's a great job, and I hope you'll give him a call. But it's really amazing. It's just my friend Colin. My friend Colin says Animal Football Insiders in a time warp. What time warp? Come on! This is the 20th anniversary of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning their first ever Super Bowl. First ever Super Bowl. And I gotta tell you, as a diehard Buccaneer fan, of course I couldn't go to LA, too expensive, but being back at home and listening to all the press conferences and all the storylines, I was like, I would just worry. I would just worry sick that we were going to lose that game. Seriously, I really thought that the Buccaneers were going to go out and just lay an egg. Because I was just panicking at the thought of the Buccaneers losing that game. And if you remember, and as you recall, it was Brad Johnson who was quarterbacking the team. Of course, you had Randy Barber. You also had John Lynch. And by the way, the Hall of Fame is going to be coming up here and announcing here soon. And hopefully Randy Barber gets into the Hall like he should. I believe John Lynch should be in the Hall. And in a lot of ways, I think John Gruden should too. But that all changed with everything that has happened with him in that situation. Mike Allstott, definitely. I don't know why Mike Allstott does not come up in conversations for the Hall of Fame. I mean, seriously. The contributions that boy made on the field. I mean, it's just amazing. You know, probably one of the best fullbacks ever to play the game. Now there can be a strong argument made with Franco Harris. Yes, I know. Please, people, don't gang up on me. I'm just giving you my state opinion of what I think. But could you ever recall a more bruising fullback than Mike Allstott? I mean, it was just amazing to see that man run. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. Not one of these arrogant guys who, you know, not one of these arrogant guys, but really one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. I'm surprised that he hasn't found a job within the confines of the National Football League, like Randy Barber has, like John Lynch has. In fact, I would go far to say maybe the Glaciers should reach out to him about coming on board, but I don't know if he would want to do that and commit the time away from his family. But All-Star was just amazing, you know. So we're gonna see, but we'll see what happens with that. I'll give you my predictions on who I think is gonna win this weekend. But man, once I saw that about this Super Bowl, I was just having flashbacks of everything that transpired that day, you know. And I'll never forget the night when we went back to Raymond James Stadium. The buses pulled in. It was like, have you ever seen Clemson? When they do their introductions, they're load up out of the locker room, get on the bus, go around the corner on these buses, and come through the stadium. It's kind of like that. You know, you have the big jumbotron with the buses coming in, crowds going wild. Something that I will never ever forget. If your team gets a chance to go to the Super Bowl, cherish it, because you never know when it's going to happen. Lauren Meadows is supposed to be joining me a little bit later on tonight, and we'll discuss what's going on with the whole situation, among other things that's happening with the Florida Gators. Now, let's go to the present day, and let's tell you what's happening. We've already told you. Jim Bob Cooter has had an interview for the offensive coordinator. Keenan McCardell has also had an interview. I can tell you that there's been other people that have interviews as well. Now, I want to address something here to the elephant in the room, okay? And it is this notion that I heard something coming out the other day that the Bucks are going to have crappy years for the next 2-3 years. They're just going to be horrible. And I got really mad. I got extremely upset by that, and I was really pissed off by what he was saying. But then I took a step back and I was thinking about what he was saying. And given the structure and the way things are happening within this salary cap and everything that's going on, the man's actually right. What we as Buccaneer fans are about to experience is a few years of hard times, mainly because of the salary cap. When you win a Super Bowl, in this day and age, it is very, very hard to fulfill a dynasty and get back there year after year after year because of the salary cap. And I'm going to tell you why. Because right now, I'm trying to see what I can do here because a good friend of mine, Greg Allman, he writes for the Atlantic, formerly with the Tampa Bay Times. Great journalist, does a great job. Let's see here. We told you about that. I'm looking on his Twitter page. Oh, and by the way, other NFL news. Frank Wright, formerly with the Indianapolis Colts, he's been named today as the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. We'll also tell you that Mike McCarthy has let go of 6 assistants within the Dallas Cowboys organization. I don't know who they are. I might get that for you before it's over with. Let's see here. The reason why I'm doing this is because Greg had a great piece in his in the magazine. And by the way, one other interview that the Buccaneers had, Clint Kubiak. He also interviewed for the quarterback's job. Chris Godwin, by the way, has been named the winner of the Ed Block Courage Award after sustaining the ACL last year. He won that award, so congratulations. Okay, so here we go. According to Greg Allman, the Bucs are $55 million over the projected salary cap for 2023 before they can even sign a single free agent or draft picks. Now, to Greg, and this is according to the Atlantic, okay, Greg comes up with a plan for the things that they will have to do. Now, and Greg's right. The bill has now come due. Let's see here. For the Bucs, right now, the Bucs have 24 unrestricted free agents. Okay, and that's where they stand right now. For Greg, he believes that to make these cuts to get under the salary cap, they're going to have to make some very hard choices. By letting go left tackle Donovan Smith, he should have been gone a long time ago. Leonard Fournette, kicker Ryan Suckup, and tight end Cameron Brate. Those 4 people can save up to an average of about $19 million. Donovan Smith saves $9.95 million, Fournette $3.5, Suckup $3.75, and Brate $2 million. So I think that they can renegotiate Brate and bring him back. Let's see here. Alrighty. Other things here, they talked about Mike Evans. He's in the final year of his contract. Don't expect Mike Evans to go. Let's see here. Restructured the contracts of Vita Vea and Carlton Davis. Now, Tom Brady. This is an interesting thing right here. Okay, should Brady retire, and we don't know what the situation is going to be yet. He was on NFL radio the other day, and he says, "I'm not made up my bleaking mind. When I do, you people will be bleaking no." Okay, now this gets complicated, so I'm going to try and explain to you the way that Greg Allman says, and I'm quoting here: should Brady retire, the Bucs can process the move to whereby Brady's owed $35 million. Okay, so if he retires, the Buccaneers will have $35 million in dead money from working his earlier deal. Now, if he retires, the money that the Bucs save, they can have $11 million counted against the cap against 23 and 24 million shifts to 2024. That $24 million, according to Greg Allman, can be spent in keeping free agents and having a few modest newcomers. But if Brady signs with another team, the entire $35 million counts against the 2003 salary cap. And according to Greg, there's nothing the Bucs can do to change it. So all things considered, Tom Brady holds the key to where they go with the salary cap. Um, Levante David, there's talk. Levante saying that he wants to remain with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, he's coming off a deal that paid him $12.5 million. If he does not resign, he'll count $6.9 million in dead money in 23. But if they can't sign, it will be just 2.3. Okay. And Greg goes into a lot of details about this on how the Buccaneers can use the money and use the money wisely. Also, one other thing, and Peter just points out Clyde Christensen, who has been a Buccaneer coach for a long time. I knew Clyde back in the 1990s. He used to be with the Buccaneers under Sam Weiss. Instead of him being let go, he went ahead and retired. I would not be surprised if he gets an analyst job. So that's where the Buccaneers stand right now. So everything rests with Tom Brady and what he's going to do. Now, it'd be curious for me to know, could they re-sign Tom Brady to a lower contract? I don't know. That is something that I don't know if that $35 million is dead set, or if they can rework that contract. But everything rests with Tom Brady and how they go about handling the free agency for the 2023-24 season. This is the price that you pay when you win a Super Bowl. This is the price when you pay when you bring in top-notch guys like Tom Brady. Now, I'm not saying it's not worth it. Of course, it's worth it. Anytime that you are able to win a Super Bowl, you better damn well believe that it's worth it. But don't expect success to happen year in and year out. There's going to be those years where it just runs out. You're financially strapped. You got to make those tough choices. And as we talked about, some tough choices are definitely going to have to be made. And I, for damn sure as hell want Donovan Smith to go. I am so sick and tired of his inconsistencies and what he does. Holding penalty after holding penalty. Offense gets going good. Holding penalty by 76. It drives me nuts. It drives me bonkers. It makes me realize that this guy, that Donovan, needs to go, and they really need to start fresh. Animal Football Insider brought to you by the fine people at Carpet Direct. All your carpeting needs, give my good friend Taylor Benton a call. Be more happy to help you out with the carpeting needs. Now, can the Buccaneers make these? Can the Buccaneers be able to make these? Make it work? I've seen some strange things happen. I have seen some strange things happen, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know. Also, 3 years ago today, Kobe Bryant passed away. Wow, it's hard to believe. It feels like that happened not too long ago. So, let me see here. So, that's a situation with the Buccaneers, and that's where they stand in terms of salary cap, in terms of the offensive coordinator, who they've looked at right now. They didn't. What's interesting is that hardly anybody on defense left. I think they had like one female coach was let go. Okay, she was a defensive assistant. Did a nice job, but I think they want to go in a more different direction. I believe Casey Rogers is her name. I'm not sure about that. So that's what's going on with that situation. Okay. Um. All right. Norton Meadows is supposed to join me here in just a little bit, and let's see here. And we're going to talk about some things that are happening with the Florida Gators now. Now, as far as the Florida Gators go, let's talk about them now. They are starting their off-season program. They're in what they call their journey phase. Now, as we reported last week, Cameron Waits, an offensive lineman for the Florida Gators, suffered a injury. He suffered a knee injury, ACL injury, and he's out for the year. Now, for the Gators, they, sorry about this. They have been working the transfer portal like crazy. They've been grabbing offensive linemen left and right. And I saw something on Facebook where they listed the guys in the transfer portal. Um, they're averaging the guys that they got out of the transfer portal. They're averaging like 6'6", 6'7", 370 pounds. This is not a joke, people. This is serious. Okay, and they got another guy named Keontae Godwin, who was a transfer from Kentucky. He's 6'8", 340 pounds. Now, one of the things that I will say about Billy Napier is the fact that they're going hard in the portal for offensive linemen. They are truly finding their guys, and he's been doing they've been doing a great job getting these guys. Now, can they hold on to them? Hopefully these kids will decide to stay on and not become the boneheads like the other guy decided to leave. Drives me up a freaking wall to know that you're going to a great institution, but you can't handle the heat that comes with it. It just boggles my mind. Somebody that boggles my mind every now and then, a guy from Gator Bait magazine. I mean, in his own right, sitting in that green room, eating those Krispy Kreme donuts that I had for him. I mean, just amazing. Wait for him to give me a thumbs up, make sure that he can hear me okay. So I did not say that finger, okay? Gee, come on now. Lauren Meadows from Gator Bait Magazine, who has been very nice to take a few minutes out of his very, very precious time, joins me on this edition of the Animal Football Insider. Hope you have plenty of Krispy Kreme donuts, and welcome back, my friend, to the show that really never ends.
Hey, it was those blueberry donuts were awesome. I loved them.
I like the glaze. I personally, I like the glaze myself. Well,
Right.
another week, another bit of interesting news that has come out that we're going to talk about here for just a minute. But let's talk about the guys off the field and what they're doing right now. They're going. I think they're in their second phase now, the journey phase, if I'm not mistaken, or is it still phase number one?
Well, I think the journey phase is the entire thing. So I think it's foundation, then identification. So I think
Yes,
that
identity.
identity.
Right.
Yeah. So foundation, then identity. So I think they may be moving. I'm not sure identity doesn't, but maybe it starts now or like maybe right after signing day. So it's either foundation still or identity phase. And so that's a lot of obviously getting the lift in, a lot of the mid-season transfers, getting used to classes, getting used to college life, just kind of settling in. Obviously, last
Yeah.
year they were getting used to getting up in the morning and making sure they got their breakfast in and those kind of things. And now they've kind of got a lot of that settled with the parking and different things. They should be good there. So now it's just kind of identifying or setting the foundation to get ready to identify who wants to be a Gator, who wants to be part of Billy Napier's program, and just you start separating the men from the boys once you get into that identity phase. I think it's a lot of competition for them. They'll kind of get into groups, and it'll be based on performance in the classroom, performance in the weight room. They'll start to do some of those mat drills and different things like that before they get ready for spring ball in March. So, just really like, typical off season for, all 150 some odd teams in the NCAA. And, this is where you kind of set the groundwork for what's going to happen the next 6 to 7 months.
Lauren Meadows, Gatorade Magazine, joining me on this edition of Animal Football Insider. You mentioned signing day coming up. Is that this week, next Wednesday, next Tuesday? When is that? I thought it was February.
Tuesday after next. So I think next Tuesday is the like the 31st. So I think, or like, yeah. So, and then I think it's the Tuesday after that. So I think that would be like the maybe the 7th, something like that. Yeah. So I think it's that day. So maybe even Valentine's. I'm not sure. Coming up.
Yeah.
So it's coming down the pipe for sure. And the Gators, I think, have a couple targets. I'm not particularly sure, but there's still a couple targets out there that they're looking to get, and then obviously fairly active in the transfer portal as well. So continue to be. So should see some more names, I would assume, coming down the pipe with some transfers as well.
Before you came on, I could not find it, but on my Facebook post, it gave a list of the guys in the transfer portal, talking about the offensive linemen that we have. I think they're averaging like 380 pounds. I mean, if there's one thing for certain, it's this, Lauren. Billy Napier is working that transfer portal pretty hard to get the beef up front.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I think anybody that thinks Billy Napier is going to change has kind of misled themselves. I mean, we will be defined as a running football team. Sure, we're going to look for dynamic playmakers and things like that, but we will be constructed. The Florida Gators, I say, will be constructed technically from the ground up. And what I mean by that is they will make their bones in the trenches. And so
that's right.
A couple unproven. I think Godwin, as much ballyhooed as he was coming out of school, coming out of high school, from what I've heard from sources at Kentucky, still needs to grow up a little bit, which I think he will under Sale and Stapleton. They seem to be no nonsense kind of guys up front. Obviously, the young man at Baylor could be an instant, easy transition from Osiris Torrance to Micah Masuka, I think is how you say his name. I could be butchering his last name. First name Micah, and then they've got some other people that if they could reach their potential, this does have the makings of a pretty good offensive line. You got experience with Kingsley at center. Austin Barber played meaningful minutes last year. You got Richie Leonard also there, and like Buddy's kind of coined them the I-75 road graders.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So he's
awesome
about that, and I think that's something that could stick. Obviously, results speak volumes. So this group will have to come together pretty quick because like I've said, I think for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think people. That trip out to Rice Eccles Stadium in September is going. You live out that way. That's not an easy task. And as much as people made about them coming to the swamp and playing, there will be some.
It's going to be worse.
Yeah,
it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse.
And some of the challenges with some of that could be huge.
Let give me an idea. I'll give you an idea. I've never been out west before until I went on the honeymoon with my wife, and we went out to Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to some pretty high altitude places. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you right now,
Yeah.
it has a bearing on it has a bearing effect on you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you can just get adapted to right away. You have to be there for a while in order to
Mm-hmm.
understand
Oh yeah.
what it's about. And
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you know it very well. So that's going to be a very interesting to see. But I like what Napier's doing up front. I like what he's doing overall with the program. I like it, and one of the things I like about him is his ability to keep his coaching staff together. We've seen one or
Absolutely.
two guys. We've seen one or two guys leave, but Lauren, for the most part, he's been able to hold that coaching staff together as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tribute. I think we talked about it before. There's a lot of people on that staff that are there simply because of him. His, their belief in him, his vision, the person that he is. I'm not sure that he's mastered the art of the media yet, and that's some of my frustration. Obviously, being a member of the media, if I was just a fan, I'd probably feel the same way. I mean, I think he conducts himself with class. He really hasn't done anything to embarrass the school or the program. And if you talk to those around him, like I said, the Katie Turners and the different people, the Darnell Stapletons, the Jabbar Jalukes. I mean, they truly believe in his vision, and why would they go anywhere else? I mean, I think he's a good guy to work for. I think he gives you opportunity to coach, which is what any assistant wants, for him to leave you alone and let you coach your guys. And yeah, I mean, I think I've said it before. I'm a much bigger fan of Napier or of his staff than I am of Napier. Not to say that I'm not a fan of Napier, but I'm a really
No,
big
no.
fan of the staff, which speaks to Billy Napier and his ability to run a program. So, I guess it's a kind of a backhanded compliment to Billy Napier, but I really do like the staff. And like you said, the fact that he can keep them together is another indicator that this thing may get headed in the right direction sooner than later.
You just threw a curveball at me, and when you said that Napier is not has had to handle the media yet, why don't you go in detail to explain about that?
Well, I think that, I mean, there can be a situation, and you and I both know this, and there could be a situation where any coach doesn't want to give you too much. And there's coach speak and there's things like that. And I think, Joe, sometimes that, it's just that whether it be the players that are made available or the amount of questions or the way that he answers questions. I think just those, some of us in the media would just like, it's kind of almost like a consistent response. You can almost guess what he's going to say. And I think that would go over a lot better if you weren't 6-7. You know, that goes over
Right.
decent at 10-2 and 8 and even at 8-4, 9-3. But when you lose to Vanderbilt on the road for the first time in 34 years, you kind of lay an egg after a big win against Utah. You kind of lay an egg against Kentucky. You make some questionable calls that don't really. I mean, I think the best answer after the Tennessee game was the answer of the question I asked him was, he said we need to coach better. And he actually kind of expanded on that in some ways, but everything else was just kind of generic. And I think that, if I'm not speaking for my fellow, those guys, I don't
No,
necessarily,
no,
I
I
consider,
understand. I understand.
you know,
Yeah,
but I
I
know
understand.
that, but I do have some friends that I consider the mainstream Gator media, that have been a little frustrated with just some of the lack of what's the word I'm looking for, the some of the just the kind of closed
Transparency.
door atmosphere at some time. Yeah,
Transparency.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
yes, yeah, the lack
yeah,
of
yeah.
transparency. That's it. There you go.
I can imagine Rick Cortado taking Napier's side. You've got to be more transparent. That's what these people want. Get it together. Come on now. You're making my job harder.
And like I said, I mean, in today's world, you think about it, just in the last 10 years, how much information is readily available, how many sources are leaked, and and just the way that news is reported now. I'm sure you have to be a little bit close to the vest, and obviously Billy Napier comes from the Nick Saban slash Jim McElwain slash
Right.
Smart slash Mel Tucker kind of, and all those guys are kind of about the same.
Yeah.
And so there you go. That's so.
Okay. I want to address something to you tonight, okay? And I know we're being the. I know it's done. It's gone. And for those who don't know by now, Jacob Rashada, the recruit, got his 11-10. He's gone. He's out. Who knows where he's going to go. This whole situation definitely has put a stain on Rashada. It has put a stain on Gator Collective. It's put a stain on a lot of people. But, and I say this with a but, have you read Nick Delatorre's article on on3.com?
I have not. I've been pretty busy with work. They've been killing me. So I have not yet. I'll go back and read it.
You really need to read this because Nick does an excellent job in talking about this. He provides now. Let me tell you what in this story. He provides a timeline on events that happen, and then he goes into details. Now, according to Nick, he is saying that according to their reporting, we're not confirming anything. We're just going by what Nick Delatorre is telling us, that the deal and the $13.85 million figure were brought to the Gator Collective, which they then entered into contract with Rashada. The money this is according to Nick Delatorre, the money was said to be promised by a donor who had dozens of deals with Gators Collective previously. That person happened to be from a company of JTM Sports and a UF graduate, Derek Heitner, who is an attorney on retainer with JTM. Now, according to Nick, and if you read through this story, the impression that I get from this, Lauren, is the fact that they were negotiating a deal for him to come to Florida before he even had signed the letter of intent to come to Florida. As a matter of fact, if you recall, Napier is standing before the media. They're talking about the recruits, and somebody asked about Jacob Rashada. Has he signed his letter of intent? And I clearly remember Napier saying we should have it by the end of the day. Now we come to find out the reason why is because these negotiations were taking place. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I am not comfortable with these events that transpired.
Well, no, absolutely not. I mean, you and I mean, we come from an age where you pick school because you like the coach, or you might have met a girl that was cute there, or you knew you could play right away. I mean, a lot of different reasons, but it wasn't necessarily because somebody handed you 13 million, And I've heard that number. Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is you are negotiating a deal to come to Florida before you've even signed a letter of intent. Now let us understand this, people. You are basically buying a player to come to a school before there's even a letter of intent to be signed. That's exactly I don't know how you would phrase it, but that's the way I'm looking at this.
Well, like I told you, I think last week, I was told by someone who is prominent in the Gator Collective from a financial standpoint, and their exact words were, "It is pay to play," and that's what it's become in some instances. That we are, And when I say we as those who love the sport, root for the sport, give our money by, be it through ticket sales, whatever, merchandising, we are now in a situation where some young men and women in some sports are going to remove themselves or add themselves to a situation purely based on money. That's it. And it's not just football, and it's going to continue until there's some regulation. That's going to happen. And what's sad about this is you may never know, but it's like, at what point in time, if this number, let's just say the number got to 13 million, did anybody
Yeah.
say to themselves, okay, we're going to bring this young man in who's never played it down? So I'm asking you, did the Florida staff know that they were going to bring a young man in to play quarterback who, if at $13 million, would have been the second highest paid person on Florida's campus?
I want to point out here. Right. Let me point out here that what I'm talking about here now, the negotiation with 13 million, this was not anybody with Gator Collective. This was an independent organization that was representing Rashada. Okay, keep this in mind. An agency representing Rashada to make a deal to come to the University of Florida before he's even signed his letter of intent. My point is this: you can't sign anything until you officially have signed your letter of intent. So, based off of that, could this be a bad situation for the University of Florida down the road? Could this be a situation where the NCAA could step in and say, we need to investigate this and find out what happened and find out if any violations occurred? I guess that's a question I'm asking here tonight, because
No, I don't think so. Well, I was told now, and I'll do some homework and we can talk about it again. I was told by a prominent booster, a Bull Gator booster, who's at the top level, and he's everything: football, basketball, softball, everything, that there is no contract. So there may have been a handshake contract, but from what I was told is there is nothing that could lend itself to litigation because there is no paper trail. It's all hearsay. There is no binding contract that was signed for $13.85 million or
whatever it is. Whatever it is.
There is no paper contract whatsoever. And this particular person is actually really good friends with someone who has their name on several facilities on U.S. campus, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So
no money transferred hands, but still they were negotiating a contract to come to University of Florida. I just find that mind-boggling. I just find that mind-boggling to know that me as a person going to the University of Florida, I'm not going here unless I get something in writing or something. That just blows my mind. You either want to come to play or you don't. That's why I bring up the question, because of NCAA rules and regulations and all that. I mean, if maybe they want to put their hand in the cookie jar and start sniffing around, but I mean that's But
the NIL animal is totally independent of the NCAA. That's why, you look at Quinn Ewers, who's at Texas now, but was at Ohio State last year in his senior year,
that.
who left school so he could make the NIL money that was being offered to him by representatives of the Ohio State program. So because NCAA, when it comes to this, it's more, the only regulation you truly have is, I think each state has kind of identified certain parameters for their particular institutions, I'm sure it has something to do with the law, the taxes, and different things like that within the state. But other than that, the NCAA, when it comes to this, unless they mandate through the entire schools and all those things, it's the wild wild west, man. It's open hunting season.
Yeah, and I forgot about the fact that you said that it's independent from the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
It's not independent from Florida. Well, okay, let's put it this way: it's independent from Florida, but Florida bears its name on it. Is that a fair
In some ways,
assessment?
yeah.
In some
Yeah, I
ways,
mean,
but Florida,
yeah,
because it's the quote Gator Collective,
right,
that's the only thing
and
that's in.
right, and a coach,
Um,
ultimately Billy Napier, Kelly Ray Finley, Todd Golden, Tim Walton, they all had to at least give their blessing, so to speak, for these collectives to be involved with their athletes. They did. But ultimately, the way it is now, the athlete could go and say, hey, I'm going to sign with Gator Collective whether you want me to or not. And that's what I think is lost, is that it is given the athlete the power to they are marketing themselves beyond what the universities can provide for them. So now you could say to yourself, okay, like Billy Napier could say to Anthony Richardson, hey, I don't want you to be part of the Gator Collective. And then Richardson could say, well, then I'm going to do it anyway. And then Billy Napier could say, well, I want you off my team. And then Anthony Richardson could say, fine, I bet UCF would want me and they'll let me do what I want to do. That's what you have. If that's the extreme case. Now, most coaches have embraced it and allowed their athletes to be who they want to be and get the monetary benefits of that, either through collectives or their own marketing, so to speak. So whether they want to hold
Interesting.
camp or, because that's what you could do now. I mean, you could do everything from sell cars to go back to your hometown and
Well, that's what Anthony was doing.
Charge kids $50 and run a camp. Now you can do it all. You can sell barbecue if you want. You're a great cook. You want to open up a barbecue stand and make you some money, you can do that. Anything.
Yeah.
As long as you ain't breaking the natural laws, criminal laws, you're in good shape.
But they can't do it. But they can't do it during the football season, right? I mean, because it's.
Why not?
Oh, really?
My time is my time. So, I mean, now nobody has gone as far as, like, for instance, they came down during the football season, and we had quite a few players on Buddy's show, and during the season they kind of cut that out, through the Gator Collective and things like that. But I'm sure if a player really wanted to go and make an appearance or make a buck going to somebody's birthday party or something, they get days off. So what's stopping them?
That's true. That's true too. That's true too. I find interesting that they would kind of cut that off during the season, which I can understand. They're trying to get ready for games during the course of the year. They don't have time to do media interviews. So yeah, I kind of can recognize that. What did you make of this weekend's games in the NFL? I enjoyed them. I thought all four games were great, but Patrick Mahomes, man, that Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy are the two guys that really stood out for me this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Purdy and what he's been able to do. I mean, obviously, there's some cachet, the fact that he was Mr. Irrelevant, someone who had a pretty decent, you right in your own backyard there, had a great college career, that kind of thing. But and then Mahomes is Mahomes. I mean, I think he's earned every accolade that he's received. I mean, definitely a tough player, somebody that the entire locker room has rallied around, and obviously him coming back from a high ankle sprain and being able to carry the team, But I think the biggest is, I mean, I think at this time is Patrick. I guess the bigger question is Joe Burrow in the conversation as a top 3 quarterback in this league now? After after his performance in the snow, I mean, at one time it was like 10 for 10, and that, I mean, in the Buffalo snow, which, I mean,
But
and and
you know, but
and his ability to spread the ball to different receivers, I think that's, I'm interested to see. I mean, you got some star power in that AFC Championship game where you've kind of got some up and comers in the NFC, and it's more about the total team. But it'll be interesting, I mean, because I mean, as much as I am not, I mean, for a lot of reasons, there's a lot of reasons that I was kind of lukewarm on Joe Burrow, even when he got to LSU and coming out of high school. He didn't play. I mean, his high school, he played kind of small division high school ball in Ohio. But if you look at what he's become, I mean, it's unbelievable, man. I mean, he does have. I mean, I was listening to Skip Bayless a couple of days ago. He's got some young Tom Brady about him. He does. I mean, it's. I mean, you watch him. You watch the Bucks. I mean, it's like, wow.
Speaking of Skip, of course, Skip likes the Dallas Cowboys and everything. So I get up the next morning and I'm running through Twitter. I see this video where Skip Bayless takes a Dak Prescott jersey, rips it up, and just throws it in the garbage can. He was so pissed at the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, yeah. It was just, I mean, and Dallas is Dallas. We know what that's all about, and I heard today Mike McCarthy had 5 or 6 assistants. I'm not sure if that's a confirmed story, but
wow.
I was like, I see Brock Purdy play, and by the way, Iowa State guy here. I see this kid play. I do not see an ounce of stress coming from this guy. It's just like calm, mature. He just goes down and just plays the game and lets the rest handle it himself. Now, they're going to Philadelphia. They're playing before a very hostile crowd, one of the more nastier fan bases I think I've ever seen in my life. I can tell you some really disgusting stories about the Philadelphia fans. Okay, but I mean to go into that environment, if they're able to do what I think they were capable of doing. I mean, this guy, if this guy does not get Rookie of the Year or MVP of the Year, I don't know who deserves it. With the way Brock's been playing, I'm going with Go ahead.
No, I just think the big thing that hurts him is I think the 49ers are so good on defense that it kind of gets overshadowed. But I kind of call, Brock Purdy's one of those guys where, you know how you making brownies and you follow the recipe to a T. You don't make any changes. You don't put no chocolate chips in them. You don't put any caramel, no nuts. You just make really good brownies because you followed the recipe and the right ingredients. Brock Purdy is somebody who they've given the right ingredients to, and he's followed the recipe to a T. He doesn't try to do anything that he's not supposed to be doing. He just makes the right check. He's not careless with the football. He knows that he has all these great ingredients around him and a good defense backing him up. So all I got to do is keep us in the game. And that's what he's doing. And there's a lot to be said for that. I wouldn't necessarily call him a game manager, but he's just somebody who understands what his team is asking him to do week in and week out.
Put some brownies in Lauren Meadows for next appearance. Okay, I got that. I've got that in my phone here, so I'll make sure you get the brownies. No changes, no nuts, no chocolate chips, just brownies. Okay, I'm putting that in my notes, even as we speak.
Just the fun.
Who do you like? Who you like?
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go Eagles. I'm gonna go Eagles. 2 weeks from now in the Super Bowl.
Eagles, Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which would make a great storyline considering the fact that the former head coach of the Eagles is now the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you got that storyline building. I
I think
you
the
know,
Eagles getting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back and some of the other. I just think they're hitting all cylinders at the right time now, and I think they've been the best team, most consistent team, top to bottom, the entire year. And like you said, if the game was out in San Francisco, could be a different story. But I just think with the weather and things like that, and how Philadelphia seems to feed off that crowd. And kind of same thing with the Chiefs. I mean, at some point in time, the Chiefs have. I mean, the Bengals have beaten them 2 out of the last 3 times. So I think at some point in time they got to even it up, and I think it'll be.
Yeah, even that you make a great point. You make a great point. I will agree with you there. Okay, Okay, so here's what I think. I think it's gonna be Joe Burrow defeating the Chiefs 3 straight times this year in the AFC. I think it's going to be Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC. That's who I think. That's who I think it's going to be. Of course, we're going to find out. We're going to have 2 weeks to think about it. And if you want to come back next week or the week after, we'll talk about that. So it should
Absolutely.
be. I think.
If that happens, it's Bengals 49ers part 3. So either way, you got a great storyline.
Okay, well, it's Bengals 49ers part 2 then.
No, 3. They played in 81 and 88,
okay,
and then this would be number 3. They
played 81. That was okay. Wait, 81. 81 was the famous Jerry Rice last second deal. I remember that one.
No. That was 88. That would have been 88, 89. And then they beat them 80, 81 was with Kenny Anderson,
Montana.
The 49ers first Super Bowl, yeah. When they had the goal line stand.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Okay. I forgot. I forgot about that. Was that? Yeah. Because did you ever see Draft Day with Kevin Costner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember Kevin Costner? He talked about Joe Montana. He says, "Look in the stands. There's John Candy." It was that year. That's right. Okay,
that was the Jerry Rice Super Bowl.
Right. Okay, that's right. Yes. So it'll be Bengals 49ers part 3, which should be very interesting. This has been great. I've had a lot of fun with this. This is this is exciting. So depends on how things go next week. I don't know if I have a show next week, but if not, we want to do it right before the Super Bowl. So if you can join me, that'd be great, Lauren.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I know you got to go with Buddy now, so go have your fun with your boys. So,
all right.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. It's been fun.
Hey, always. By the way, I gotta hook up with you. I gotta hook up with you sometime on something. So I'll catch you in a few days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let me know.
All right. I will. Take care, Lauren.
All right.
Lauren Meadows. Thanks, man. Lauren Meadows of Gator Bait Magazine joining me. So I'm going to predict Cincinnati. I'm going to predict the 49ers to play in the championship game. That's what I think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be a great game all the way around. And I think Joe Burrow make it the best of them. However, I will say the Chiefs released footage today of Patrick Mahomes, and he looked just fine. So we'll see what happens. Again, the NFC game will be at 3:00. AFC will be at 6:30, both Eastern times. CBS will have the AFC. NFC will go to Fox, and then of course Fox will have the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. So So as of right now, we probably won't have a show next week because probably not a lot to talk about. But then again, you never know. If anything should happen, we'll be here to bring it to you. But as of right now, no show next week. 2 weeks from tonight will be our Super Bowl preview show. We're going to talk a whole lot about the Super Bowl with Lauren Meadows, possibly get on another guest. We'll see what happens. It has been fun. It has been fantastic. I want to thank Peter Gallons for his comments as well. Everybody else that has been watching tonight, I greatly appreciate it. Including Beavis, Vince Gerasi, Buford Benton. Buford Benton. I think that's a great name. So thank you all for that. It's been a great show tonight. Take care. God bless. And if you're not a Gator, you're primed to be Gator bait. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching Animal Football Insider. Be sure to join us every Thursday night here on Facebook Live.